Love to all the family surfing the wave, man. Staying hijack free, man. I know it's hard out there. I know it's crazy, man. You see Christmas lights all over the place. People going, crazy. Everyone going insane. But as they vibrate in chaos, we vibrate in order. So it's no way that we should be really being tugged around like tetherball's. When we choose up, you're choosing a foundation. You're choosing to anchor on a promise. What's your promise? Your promise is that you are real, that you exist. You have to, within yourself, find that creator and find your way back to yourself. The whole key is to find your way back to your creator, which is in and is you, as the image, as the signature. You are the all. Together, us together. We are not separate. Together we are the all. We are the image. We are the creator. There is no separation from Father to Son. Your seed is you. Your energy you pass is you. You have to be. You have power. They told you were the same as them. You have power. Fire, water, air, earth. Your power. With order. When you stop resisting order, you surf the wave. Alright? We are in it. We are in it. We are in it. We're back in it. Yo, we've been dropping this book by David Stannard for a minute. You can download it. I put the PDF right there. It's already in the library for you. The Drop Library. Go to it, 432thedrop.com. Thank you for everybody on there, man. Just enjoying, you know what I'm saying, whatever's being, dropped and kicked. And I can't wait to get to y'all live, you know what I'm saying? It's been a hold up for me. I know it's been a hold up, man. So I know we're going to get there again, and when we do, we're there to stay. That's the whole thing, is that we don't want to be knocked off again off the air. So we got to do it 100% through us, by us. So that takes a little establishment, you know what I'm saying? Any of my, computer wizards out there, I'm building something here. So get at me, music at 432thedrop.com. You might be able to help me with some of these, internal things. I'm really running my software right out the website. So we are connecting, straight through our website, 432thedrop.com. We're going to be broadcasting straight through that. All right. So, it's a little tricky. So, I do need assistance. If y'all out there that know what y'all doing on, all the integrations and all that kind of stuff, the SAM broadcasters, all that stuff. But we're going to do it. We're going to put this together, and we're going to do it. So get at me, man. Help a brother out, man. I'm just trying to do some things, man. I got babies, man. My time is limited. But, let me know, man. Help me out, because I'm here for you. All right, man, we're going to get back into some American Holocaust. Remember, American, 1828 Noah Webster Dictionary. The copper-colored race is found here. The ruddy, the copper-colored race is found here. You see that reddish brown? It's perfect, man. That's why I love this background, because it's ruddy. It's you. So every time you see this background, this is you. These are your colors. This is copper. All these tints. You see the yellow highlight. You see the red highlight. You see the dark, you know what I'm saying, highlight. The brown, the rich brown. That's the earth, man. That's Adam. We're only talking Adam. All right, let's surf this wave. Let's get into it. So, we talked about before what they left. We talked about before, what did Columbus leave behind? What was the state of Europe at the time when they rolled up on us, so-called in 1414 such and such? So we're going to get a little bit out of this. We're going to go right into chapter 3. So y'all get it, y'all dig on it. Pull up that PDF or just listen up and put on your rain boots for the drop. All right? So, let's get it. The Spain that Christopher Columbus and his crews left behind just before dawn, August 3rd, 1492, as they sailed forth from Palos and out into the Atlantic, was for most of its people a land of violence, squalor, treachery, and intolerance. In this respect, Spain was no different from the rest of Europe. All of it was about thievery. All of it was about treachery and intolerance. They left chaos to find order. But they brought chaos to order. And now they want to bring in a new order. Let's go. Epidemic outbreaks of plague, smallpox, along with the routine attacks of measles, influenza, diphtheria, whatever that is, typhus, typhoid fever, and more frequently swept European cities and towns, cleaned up 10 to 20% of their populations at a single stroke. 20% gone. 20% gone. Plagues, plagues, plagues. This was the state, the plague. They left the plague. I just want to get this so we can kind of get a thing, because then we're going to get into the recordation of, these mercenaries, as the Jews are being expelled out of Spain, and how that's connecting with the Moor and the Moray. Again, Moor means great. All right, it's not a bloodline, and that's when we get into taking something that's a general thing like Ethiopian and saying, oh, that means you're from over here, Ethiopia. No, when you research Ethiopia, there's multiple Ethiopias. There's the Ethiopia of the Orient, which is the East. There's the Ethiopia in the West. All of it is Ethiopia. Ethiopia is just what they define as we didn't use Ethiopia. Before that, it was Abyssinia. We didn't call each other Abyssinians. To them, it just meant a mixed multitude or a multitude, or, then it became Ethiopia, which is that Greek spin on it, the Ethiops. That's all these little Greek shit. So dodge all the hijack with the Ethiopians. Stop falling in love with Greek shit. Stop falling in love with your invaders. Drop your titles so you can see each other again. They called all of y'all Ethiopians. Samuel Sewall came over here and said, oh, these Ethiopians, sons of the first Adam, sons of the second Adam, talking about Noah and talking about Adam. As dark as they are, he says. Catlin says all primitive tribes, all these tribes here are dark copper-colored people with hair curly to the extreme. They talked about the locks and all that stuff, man. So, we seen the images. We know what we're talking about, man. Let's go. So they left the plague, man. They were leaving disease. Let's get a little bit more of this part. All right. So as late as the mid-17th century, more than 80,000 Londoners, 1 out of every 6 residents in the cities, died from plagues in a matter of months. And again, as with its companion diseases, the pestilence they call Black Death returned. So the Black Death, that's the Black Plague. Like most of the other urban centers in Europe, says one historian who has specialized in the subject, every 25 or 30 years, sometime even more frequently, the city was convulsed by a great epidemic. So every 25 years or so, 20% of the population would get wiped out. I mean, think about it. Every 25 years. I'm 37 years old. That means that I would have experienced something like that already. You know what I mean? So every generation was experiencing, death, man. So they were leaving death. They found a new world. Remember, they were millenarians. They thought it was a millennium, whatever that is. So it was a certain sect of these Christians that were millenarians, whatever you want to call them. They were millennium people. They thought that the world was ending in the 1600s, and that finding these Israelites here was prophecy of that, the world that their Savior, was blessing them or something like that. So they're saying, oh, our blessed Savior, you blessed us. So now we can slaughter these, whatever you want to call them, and then we're the righteous that's going to raise up Jerusalem. And they did what? They went to Peru and Mexico, and that's where they attacked. Let's read about it. You don't believe me? You don't believe David Stannard? You don't believe the American Holocaust? You don't believe the American Holocaust? Let's go. This is the Holocaust. You might want to start looking into the Holocaust of the Israelites in Jerusalem, Perusalem. So 20 or 30 years, the Black Death returned. Like most of the other urban centers in Europe, says one of the historians, the city was convulsed by a great epidemic every 25 or 30 years. Indeed, for centuries, an individual's life chances of Europe's pest house cities were so poor that the natural populations of the towns were in a perpetual decline. That was offset only by immigration from the countryside. Immigration, says one historian, that was vital in the cities were to be preserved from extinction. They needed to keep moving, or else they would die there. So that's why they have to do a Columbus Day, because he saved them from death. He considered himself the prophet that was saving them from death. But in order to gain a life, he took lives. Let's read about it. Let's read about it. Let's read about this stench. Let's read about this smell. What was going on when we read out of here before that these Europeans didn't know anything about soap and water, soap, detergent, deodorant, none of what we're talking about until they found it in the American marketplaces. He writes about their own writings, Cortez's and their own writings about the American marketplaces, how they were greater than anything you ever seen, 10 times the size of Venice, more orderly, more clean than anything you ever seen. I mean, it was all here when they found you. You don't understand how much drop you have, American Negro. American Negro that's never been told by any of his ancestors that they came from any part of Africa, but that they were all indigenous here before Atlantis. They've been here before the earth separated. Those people been in Louisiana since before it was separated. Egypt is here in the Grand Canyon and Illinois and all that. Our four corners, all that leads to our Mexico, and Jerusalem. And even Horace Butler would tell you that. And again, I've been dropping this drop, and David Stanton ain't got at me one time about critiquing his book. He has never shown any insecurity about any drop we've gotten out of his book or anything that we've said against this, or we called him a hijack, all kinds of things, and he don't care because he's secure. He didn't come over here. He ain't gonna come over here and delete this video. And by the way, fair use for educational purposes only. I guess I gotta say that now since my own brother, my own elder, removed my videos, my research, promoting his book. Drop Nation has supported Horace Butler, and he's removing our videos for even mentioning 2 chapters of his book. Meanwhile, we've been dropping this book for months. See what I'm saying? This is how your own elders treat you. They remove the research because they protect their ego. They're not moving water. They have no flow. They're still water. And what happens about still water? Let's read about still water. Let's read about the stench and the stankiness of Horace Butthurt. No, I was playing. The stench and stankiness of Europe, which smells a lot, like our brother right now, Roadside ditches filled with stagnant water. Oh, okay, we're gonna jump right into it, man. We're on page 58. All right, I hope y'all can dig on it. Pull it up, man. It's in the library. We got the library cracking. It's gonna keep cracking. Let's go. Roadside ditches filled with stagnant water served as public latrines. Ditches filled with still water is what they use to bathe in, not moving water. Horace Butler water. Still stanky, stench-ass water. And that's love to the elder. But he's crossing the line by hiding information from the people. So we don't trust that. We don't respect that. We don't vibe and dig on that. You're worse than the enemy. You're worse than the hijack. Roadside ditches filled with stagnant water served as public latrines in the cities of the 15th century, and they would continue to do so for centuries to follow. So too would other noxious habits and public health hazards at the time persist on into the future, from the practice of leaving the decomposing fall of butchered animals to fester in the streets to London's special problem, quote unquote, as historian Lawrence Stone puts it, of pores holes. So they call them pores holes. Why did they call them pores holes? These were large, deep, open pits in which they laid the bodies of the poor. So all the poor that couldn't bury, they didn't give them no burial. All the people they killed, all the people that died, remember every 25 years, 20% of the population, done. Just plagued hijacks. Come over here with their disease, and they use that. It was so effective in killing people that they bottled it up, packaged it, and brought it to you. They didn't come square up with you. They didn't come box with you. They didn't defeat you. They sorceried you. They witchcraft you. The Creator allowed it to happen. Because if that didn't happen, then this couldn't happen. This is what you're about to see. Watch what happens next. That wouldn't be possible without order being restored. Those that are resisting it. You know, you can't flow, you can't flow. You can't go, you can't go. So these large pits, large, deep, open pits in which they laid the bodies of their poor, side by side, row upon row. Only when the pit was filled with bodies was it finally covered over with the earth. So they buried it once all the dead bodies were filled to the top of these large, deep holes. Can you imagine the stench? And this was all throughout their cities in Europe. Their black, plague, diseased, disgusting cities in Europe. And this is what you want to be like. You want to be like that which invaded you. You want to be like that which hijacked you. You want to think like that. You want to be on the perpetual cycles that they're on. You want to be lawless, orderless, chaotic. As one contemporary quoted by Stone delicately observed, how noisome, how stinky the stench is that arises from these holes so stowed with dead bodies, especially in sultry seasons and after rain. Imagine the rain hitting the dead bodies and the stench left behind, and these poreholes are everywhere. In Europe, street crime in most cities lurked around every corner. One especially popular technique for robbing someone. All right, pay attention. You're about to learn how to rob. All right, 50 Cent told you how to rob. David Stanner is about to tell you how to rob, how the Europeans rob. This is how the Europeans got down. This is how they rob. All right. One especially popular technique for robbing someone was to drop a heavy rock or chunk of masonry on his head from an upper story window, and then to riffle the body for jewelry and money. So you'll be mobbing down the street, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, old girl? Yeah, man, she crazy, man, she crazy. Boom, a boulder just fall on your head and somebody come jack your pockets. And they out. That's how to rob in Europe. Nigga, that's how the criminals move, nigga. You think you a criminal? Stand on an upper story building with a big ass boulder, big ass rock or something, and drop it on somebody's head. And then go jack them after that. And then get away with it. Like, everybody cool with it. Like, it's all good. That's how Europe rocked. Among the smell, you gotta literally dodge the hijack. You gotta literally dodge the rocks, man, the boulders. This is how they got you, man. Now, this is how they got down. This shit crazy. This was a time observed Norbert Elias, when it was one of the festive pleasures. All right, listen up. It was one of the festive pleasures of Midsummer Day to burn alive 1 or 2 dozen cats. In the summertime, all that stank, now they're going to burn alive dozens of cats. That was their festive pleasure. I need you to get into the mind of a hijack and see what you're dealing with. 1828 Webster Dictionary, the copper color races found here by the European, the stanky, stenchy, violent, chaotic ass European. 1828, Noah Webster Dictionary. Copper color races found here on my soil, but now refer to the European born in America. So who would leave all this filth and all this black death, come over here and call you black, call you cursed? You don't read about our land being cursed like this. It wasn't cursed until the curse arrived on the land. But they leave the curse. Every 20 years, 20% gone. They leave the curse, violence and chaos, and look what they find you in. Let's keep reading. So, you know, they burning live cats. They doing their thing. I just want to get to it, man. We're gonna skip into page 62. Turn to page 62. get that PDF, get that, get it up. All right. So we're going to talk about, we're going to cut it right through the Jews being expelled out of Spain. Remember, we're all Moors, right? More means great. More means more. I want more apple pie. Give me more. You have more. You have more than me. So because we have more, we have pineal glands, we have pine cones, we have energy, we have riches, we have gold, we have more. We are more in that way. More does not mean a bloodline. More is a general term, like again, like Ethiopia or India, Prester John of the Indias or the Indies, of these dark people of the Orient, the dark people of the West and the East. Now, this was a general term. Ethiopia wasn't one place. It became one place. Ethiopia was Abyssinia. You just know it as Ethiopia. It was Abyssinia, Arabenia, Assyria. How do you want to say it? All right? You're indigenous here, so-called American Negro. And those that have been shipped from America in the real slave trade, which was taking you from here, like I said, they found you here, the Holocaust, put you on some boats, and yes, took you to Africa and Europe and other places. From here, South America and America was your melting pot. They found you in Eden, man. Columbus said the Orinoco River flowed out of the terrestrial paradise. Let's read about it. Let's get to these Jews and Spains and these Moors. So again, we're all more, all so-called Israelites are more great, right? All Israelites are more, but not all Moors are Israel. Not all of them are from the same father. And that's when you get into the truth and the drop of things. Who's your daddy? Wherever your daddy's land is and his daddy's land is your land. Your land isn't over here and over there. You can't be in Morocco and in this Morocco, this colony here. You can't have two lands. The Creator gave you an area where your tribe is. So they disguise your tribe and they blend you in as Moors. All these general dark people. Ethiopian, Abyssinians, all these general dark people. India, Indies, all these general dark people. Who's your daddy? That unlocks your puzzle. Who's your creator? And if you don't know your daddy, you know your creator. Because at the end of the day, as long as you rock with the creator, you rocking. All right? The people that ain't listening might be of the seed, and they might not be listening, but you know you ain't necessarily the seed, but you don't have to be a hijack. You may look like a hijack. They may call you a hijack, but you don't have to be a hijack. You can choose your frequency. The Creator's giving you, too, an opportunity to choose up. Everybody. Japanese, Korean, Filipino, Asian, whatever you want to call yourselves. Yes, even the European can choose up. But we know not many will, just like not many of us will. So these drops are not for the masses. These drops are for the few. All of the opinions can go, we just push them out. That's just static. We build for the few, and we protect our frequency, like we always did. You know what I mean? So this is what they saw. So by the time the expulsion was complete, between 120 to 150,000 Jews had been driven from their homes, their valuables, often meager, having first been confiscated, and then they were cast out to sea. As one contemporary described the scene, it was pitiful to see their sufferings. Many had been consumed by hunger, especially nursing mothers and their babies. Half-dead mothers held dying children in their arms. I can hardly say how cruelly and greedily they were treated by those who transported them. Many were drowned by the avarice of sailors, and those who were unable to pay their passage sold their children. This was the world an ex-trader of African slaves named Christopher Columbus and his shipmates left behind as they sailed from the city of Palos in August 1492. It was a world racked by disease that killed in massive numbers, but importantly, that also tended to immunize survivors. A world in which all but the wealthy often could not feed themselves, and in which the wealthy themselves hungered after gold. It was a world as well of cruel violence and certainty of holy truth. Holy truth. Little wonder then that the first report from the Atlantic voyage purportedly to the Orient caused such sensations across the length and breadth of Europe. In a letter composed aboard the Nina, as the returning ships passed through the Azores, Columbus described his discovery during the previous fall and winter. All right, listen up, of what he thought was the Indian Sea and its many islands filled with people without number. So how do you discover something filled with people without number? And where are those people today? Not who they say are Native Americans, but who are those people? And when you see all on the walls and you see the true, artwork and what they really saw, then you say, oh, these are just so-called Negroes. These are the people they're calling black people and African Americans, but they're not from Africa at all. That Africa title's been labeled on them to take them away from their indigenous rights and heritage here. It affects you because once you are, it's not even about, but, my descent could be this from this and this and this. Look, you've been told that all your life. So when you empty your cup and you start to build on this and you accept for one single moment that, what if it's all in reverse? What if they reversed it all from the start and had you at hello? And you gotta know that they did. You gotta know they did. If they say you're from another side, you just have to reverse it based on just GP of how they rock. They reverse their language. They may have you reading from left to right when you was reading from right to left. Everything's in reverse. I'm telling you, man. North is south. South is north. When you go to South America, that's really North America. And no, you don't come from the other side. This is the oldest land, period. This is where it was at. You're in it. Look it up, man. You might be in the cities, but look around you. You're going to see the mounds, man. You're going to see all the proof. You're going to see the artifacts. They say come from there. They take the artifacts from here, ship them over there, and say they found them over there. You got to get the minority report. Love to divine, man. You already know what I'm talking about. So, all right. So these people were without number. So he found many islands filled with people without number. One of the first major islands, which he called Juana, known today as Cuba, was so long that I thought it must be the mainland, the province of Cathay. He thought it was Tartar. He thought Cuba was the land of Tartars and Cathay. That's Prester John, ain't it? Huh? Ain't it? I never heard Cuba called Cathay before. I've only seen Cathay represented on maps in North Africa, up near Morocco. But now we got Cathay as Cuba. Let's keep going. It was so long that I thought it must be the mainland, the province of Cathay. Another large island, the one now known as Hispaniola, containing the nations of Haiti and Dominican Republic, he called La Hispaniola. Columbus had reason to be impressed with the size of these two islands, since together they were 2/3 as large as his home country, Italy. The admiral continued his description of the wonders he had seen in a passage that must be quoted at length if we are to achieve even a small understanding of the impact his voyage almost immediately had on the people of Europe, living under the wretched conditions of their time and coming out of another cold and miserable winter. Misery, chaos. They left chaos to find you. They found you and got another life, but they took your life to get it. And now they want to walk around and just be in Beverly Hills and Rodeo Drive and say, what? We're American. What? This is a melting pot. John Stewart says America's not natural. We're just doing something new here, guys. America's tribal. Natural is tribal, so America's tribal. This is tribal land. And you're the tribe. You just got invaded. They want you to rock their laws and be in their flow. You have your own flow. You have an ancient love song, Samuel Sewall says in The Selling of Joseph. They gave you a most excellent new tune, they say. This Christianity, this energy, this frequency. But is it so new, or did they just use another old hijack 440 frequency that's been around? You know what I mean? And that's your balance. That's not your, that's not the balance you choose, but that's what they give you here. That's what they give you, that excellent new tune on top of your ancient love song. That's their version of balance. But what does it do? Destroys you until you wake up, and that light spreads that darkness out. All it takes is a little bit of 432, a little bit of light in a room full of darkness to light up the room. A little 432 is going to light up the cities, light up the room. A little bit of vibration on them is going to light up the entire earth, man. All the earth, man. The mother, the energy, the shaper, the framer, all of it will light up with the frequency, just a little bit of it together. And that's the wave you're surfing, and that's what you see happening around you, protecting you, protecting us. We're growing together, we're assembling. I just feel good, and I'm proud of everybody that's been dropping the drop, you know what I'm saying, and just, you know, applying the drop in their families, those that don't ever comment, don't ever say nothing, but they just, you know, apply it. They just apply it in their research, they apply it, you know what I mean? I'm proud of y'all, man, you know what I mean? And I feel like we're doing something, you know, right. I feel like we're doing something to where, you know, no matter what the bullshit, you know what I'm saying, all my flaws, all of the shit that I've been through, I know that, you know what I'm saying, because I'm spreading the message. I'm spreading the, you know, greatest message I can, you know, bear to comprehend. I'm spreading that. I know, and it feels, you know, it just feels, you know, and that feeling is being, you know, passed back and forth, you know what I'm saying, in our cipher that we've been having, man. And we feel this. We feel this shit. Can't nobody here come over here butthurt and tell us nothing, because we feel this shit. We feel it, you know what I mean? So love to y'all, all y'all, for that vibration, just for knowing that we're doing something true and doing something right and righteous. And by spreading that message, man, you are spreading order, you're spreading the vibration, you're making them aware of it, man. So we're getting the babies out. So this is what this admiral, this is the description of the wonders that this admiral saw under, you know, Columbus in Cuba. They call Juana. As Juana, so all the other islands are very fertile to an extensive degree. Extensively fertile. Let's go. And this one especially. In it there are many harbors on the seacoast beyond comparison with others which I know in Christendom. And numerous rivers, right? The Orinoco, terrestrial paradise. Let's go. Good and large, which is marvelous. Its lands are lofty, and in it there are many sierras and very high mountains. Very high mountains, let's go, to which the island Tenerife is not comparable. All are most beautiful in thousands of shapes, and all accessible and filled with trees of thousands of kinds and tall. So we're talking about tall trees, all right? All are most beautiful of a thousand shapes, and all accessible and filled with trees of 1,000 kinds and tall, and they seem to touch the sky. So this admiral, let me get this, Azores, in a letter composed aboard the Nina, as the returning ships passed through the Azores, Columbus described. I'm sorry, this is Columbus himself, not just some admiral. So I want to make sure, you know, I don't want to misquote Columbo. All right. So Columbus is describing trees that are touching the sky. But let's go. Filled with trees, very tall, and they touch to the sky. I'm on page 63, man. Pull it up. And I am told that they never lose their foliage, which I can believe, for I saw them as green and beautiful as they are in Spain in May, and some of them are flowering, some with fruit, and there were singing the nightingale and other little birds in 1,000 kinds in the month of November, there where I went. So even damn near in near December and winter time, even in their miserable winter, we're over here just, you know, vibrating. We're just vibing. Got the trees and the birds singing. They coming over here, be like, you know how it is in Cali. You know how it is in, you know what I'm saying? That's how it is in Cuba. And that's how it is in, you know, everywhere that, you know, this is us. This is how we was rocking. Even out of order in certain capacities and the energies that we were flirting with the Atlantean hijack, even out of order, we were still in paradise. Until the Most High allowed this death to come upon us, this sorcery to come upon us. This excellent new tune they call to come upon us. Because in any alchemy, in any energy, you got to turn the heat up and pressure it out to separate it, and then you sift through it, and then you get that back, and you gather that back together, and you heat that up until you have a purity. And we've been, heated up and, pressured up and pressured up because we are crystals. We are the salt of the earth, meaning what? We are the flavor. Love to the sister, I'm sorry. I don't have your name on top of my head, but she broke down the salt of the earth in the comments, which is beautiful. The salt of the earth is the flavor. The flavor. You want that, we are the salt of the earth. We're the flavor of the entire earth. Imagine the earth without us. It's bland, nothing going on. With us, entertainment, everything, art, sciences. We're the salt of the earth. Alchemy is black science. The alchemists, Kim Black, they were doing sciences of so-called, what they were calling black people. The black sciences. Chemistry, black sciences. But all of that is Atlantean, which, it's just different parts of what the Creator has already done. What the Atlanteans had done and what Thoth did was just bring it in their own order. They took it and applied it in all the orders they want to. They took it out of order. It wasn't the energy that's bad. It was how they applied the energy. It's not the crystal that's bad. It's the intention that's put on the crystal. What intentions did they put on your crystal trees? What intention do you put on your Christmas tree? And then you put sacrifices underneath it. And you still got it up right now, don't you? I see y'all on Instagram. Y'all still got it up right now. Let's go. Seriously, man. That's the energy, that you're choosing, that you are serving. And you don't think you're serving it, but they got you doing these rituals, and you don't even understand that you're serving their energy and their frequencies, and you wonder why you're losing. I ain't gonna lose with you, hijacks. We gonna choose up, and we're going to win. We're going to be redeemed by what we put out, by what we separate from. It's going to redeem us because of the separation we're choosing when we're choosing up. And there were palm trees, 6 or 8 kinds, which are a wonder to behold because of their beautiful variety. And so are the other trees and fruits and plants. Therein are marvelous pine groves, an extensive meadow country, and there is honey, milk and honey. There is honey, and there are many kinds of birds and a great variety of fruits. Up country there are many mines of metals, gold, metals, copper, metals. Many metals, and the population is innumerable. La Española, which is Haiti, right? Haiti, Dominican Republic, is marvelous. The Sierras and the mountains and the plains and the meadows and the lands are so beautiful and rich for planting and sowing and for livestock of every sort and for building towns and villages. The harbors of the sea here are such as you could not believe it without seeing them. They were in disbelief. We read here in chapter 1, when you go back and get that drop, they thought they were in a dream. All right? These conquistadors, when they looked at your shit, they thought they were in a dream for a week. They thought they were dreaming. They brought disease to this place. They tore down the trees. They mined up everything. They did what parasites do in your body. Earth is a body. Think about what's the parasite of the earth. What's the parasite of your body? Destroys and moves and keeps moving and keeps being. It's just a plague of death. Moving death. Moving death. And look, man, this is real indigenous truth. All right? If it cuts you at all, you have to deal with you. You have to find, ask for forgiveness of that in you, which is coming from death, man. No, we are not all one. No, we do not all come from a chaotic frequency. No, we were not all created equal. You know that's bullshit. You feel it. You see it around you. Every tree ain't equal. Every dog ain't equal. We are not equal. When you find us in paradise, we are not equal. You have to come to us to live. How are we equal? You eat us, you eat our graves, you digging up our bodies and eating them. That's documented, man. How are we equal? The harbors and the sea here are such as you cannot believe it without seeing them, and so are the rivers, many and great and good streams, and most of which bear gold. If it sounded like paradise, that was no accident. Paradise filled with gold. And when he came to describe the people he had met, Columbus's Eden-like Columbus's Edenic imagery never faltered. And I quote Columbus, "The people of this land and of all the other islands which I have found and seen and have not seen, all go naked, men and women." I mean, we know Prester John and, you know, come on. But let's go. Dodge the hijack. Dodge Columbus's hijack. Because he needed them to think that you're savages. So he's telling you the truth, but he's putting it in lies because he needs the Isabella, you know what I'm saying, to think that y'all savages. If he said that you know, you were sophisticated with palaces and shit, then they'll be like, oh, okay. If he said that he's really rolling up on the kingdom of Prester John and that's how he documented it, you know what I mean? But they had to document it, even if they knew the truth, they had to document it as if they were rolling up on savages or people that are animal-like, naked and stuff. But look how they still have to, they're so amazed. They're so amazed that they still have to put the drop in. As their mothers bore them, except that some women cover one place only with the leaf of a plant or with the net of cotton which they make for that purposes. They have no iron or steel or weapons, nor are they capable of using them. But then you read about Prester John, from the Emperor of the Three Indias, whooping up on all the Persians and Darius and them looking for Prester John. The Christians trying to recruit him, so they're calling him a Christian, but he's a Nestorian Christian, which means he doesn't believe that this hijacked Christ is God. He believes his Mashiach. He believes in his Mashiach, but it's separate from the Creator. He doesn't put the Mashiach with the Creator. He believes the Mashiach is from the Creator. But then they say that their Mashiach or their Christ is God, and that's what the Nestorians say, whoa, we can believe in the Messiah, but not that the Messiah is God. And not that Mary is the mother of God. But fine, she's the mother of this Christ you're talking about, but not mother of the Creator. I mean, that's when it got real silly, and that was the separation. So, it's saying they have no iron or steel or weapons. Again, Prester John, so dodge the hijack. Although they are well-built people of handsome stature. Okay, here we go. Because they are wondrous timid. They are so artless and free with all they possess. So they're free with all they possess, and no one would believe it without having seen it. Or anything they have, if you ask them for it, they never say no. Rather, they invite the person to share it and show as much love as if they were giving their hearts, whether the thing be of value or of a small price. At once they are content with whatever little thing of whatever kind may be given to them. You give them anything, they are content with it. They're grateful for it. They're humble people. I mean, that's what you're really getting from it. Well-built stature, you know, humble people, loving people, you know what I'm saying? And different tribes rock differently. Some may have went naked. Some, you know, did not. You know what I'm saying? As they got to the Aztecs, you know, you could tell that these were different people especially, you know what I mean? All right. Okay, so let's get this. For years to come, Columbus repeatedly would insist that his expeditions and adventures in the New World had nothing to do with mere reasons, mathematics, and maps, as two scholars of the subject put it, but rather that his execution of the affair of the Indies, Prester John of the Indies, the affair of the Indies, the takedown of Prester John and then King David and them, Israel, all right, the holy city in Mount Zion, was a fulfillment of prophecies in Isaiah. So Columbus quoted that what he's doing is fulfilling prophecies in Isaiah, right? So he's taking your prophet's writings, your father's writings, and tying himself into it and saying, I'm doing these prophecies. I'm fulfilling this. And that's how he's selling it to Queen Isabella and Ferdinand, right? So, yeah, Isaiah, in addition to helping explain, if taken seriously, why Columbus in many aspects was a less successful navigator and helmsman than is commonly supposed. Once into the Caribbean, he rarely seemed to know where he was and routinely lost ships that were under his command. This rhetorical claim of biblical guidance is a clue to understanding the European reaction to his report find. So this biblical rhetorical claim of biblical guidance. So by saying he's being guided by, what he's calling God, what the prophecy he's calling and he's fulfilling, that's how he's selling this to this Christendom. You know what I'm saying? He has to package this shit. He had to package this shit. And he knew it was connected to the biblical energy. And they were putting the hints out there when he said, I'm coming to America to seize the holy city and Mount Zion, man. Y'all click that link. Y'all check it out. Find it. It's underneath there. I always keep it up. It's always in the drop library. You can always click on it. It's one of the first ones you see. All right. All right. Let's get it from here. If not the biblical Eden, or the fabled Fortunate Islands, or the classical myth, all right, that's all of what we digging on. We're coming back with part 20 of Prester John. It seemed at least had found some sort of paradise on earth. So he found a paradise, all right. Such places had long filled the legends and dreams of all the people of Europe. They were dreaming about you, so-called Negro. Your legends and your myths and your Moses and your kings. It wasn't there, never was there in the Middle East. Jerusalem was never there. That's just Roman bullshit. It was always here. They were dreaming about you. If Jerusalem was there, they wouldn't have to dream. It would be right there. They were dreaming about Eden. They were dreaming about the terrestrial paradise. Why would Jerusalem be across the world from terrestrial paradise? Why would terrestrial paradise be over here and Jerusalem be way the hell over there? It would be on a promised land. Let's go. If not the biblical Eden or the fabled Fortunate Islands of classical myth, Columbus, it seemed, had at least found some sort of paradise on earth. Such places had long filled the legends and dreams of all the people of Europe as they would on into the future. So they kept dreaming about you into the future. It is no coincidence that during the next 2 centuries, the invented utopias of Bacon and Moore and Harrington and others invariably would be located in distant oceanic lands to the west. So this guy Bacon that we got about a little bit in the Voynich manuscripts, you know what I'm saying? How they try to put it on him, like, oh, maybe Bacon wrote it in the 16th century. Like, nah, that's a 12th century manuscript. And it's indigenous and connected here because the plants that's coming out of them are indigenous plants of North America, South America. Here in the 12th century, that's King David's manuscript here. That's the lineage here. That's the Eden here. That's the situation that's being described by Moore. This guy Moore, M-O-R-E, like I said, Moore. So this guy named Moore Bacon, Bacon and Moore, Harrington and others invariably would be located. So their utopias, their Edens are all located in distant oceanic lands to the west. California, South America, Atlantis, Lemuria, all that's over here, man. Let's go. But myths of paradise and utopia were complex and often confused affairs. On the one hand, in some versions, they represented a rediscovered time of innocent perfection dating before the biblical fall from grace. On the other hand, some dreams of perfection envisioned and were built upon the expectation of a future time of anticipated peace and harmony, and bound up with every myth, past, present, or future, was still another contradictory vision of the primordial world, a satanic vision of savagery and wildness and the dark. So they twisted beautiful Eden into a satanic vision of savagery and wildness. So your beauty of you in your wilderness, they turn into your paradise, they turn into a wilderness. They turn into a wilderness. Even when we say, The Most High says to go into the wilderness. Well, he didn't say go into the wilderness. That's translated as wilderness, which is wild. They're describing you as wild. You know, we are returning to our paradise. But first, you start with your terrestrial paradise within yourself. You got to return into your paradise within yourself. You got to return into your creator. You got to find your way and to get your peace within yourself to vibrate and be led on where to go physically. You need to first manifest it within yourself. You need to know the creator is you. The energy that's within you, the image that is you, is the creator. The creator is you. We're all a part of this thing, man. We all together are this. Together we rock together. And in order we can do anything, we have our power back over fire, water, air, and earth. We got our terrestrial paradise, which is not a myth, even though they keep saying that to throw you off, because that's reality. Their reality is an illusion. Your reality is a myth to them. But the illusion, their myth is your reality. And their reality is your illusion. Alright? Dig on it. So, alright. So they got future, past, and all that. So all of it is connected, future, past. You know what I'm saying? With returning to Eden, falling from Eden, and being redeemed back to Eden. Before long, reports were circulating that Satan himself resided on one of those islands in the Caribbean Sea. So now they got Satan out there. Now Satan is hijacking everything. All right. But Thoth was there. Thoth was there. So, you know, perhaps it was only natural then, as Lewis Hank had said, that the popular image in the first feverish months of a terrestrial paradise was soon succeeded by that of a hostile continent, people with armed warriors rushing out of the tropical forests or strange cities to resist the advance of the Spanish soldiers and the missionary efforts of their companion friars. They sent their missionaries to hijack you here so that you can go willingly, so that you can say, yes, you're my God. Thank you for this Bible. Whoa, let me read it. They came with their hijack, that 1611 hijack. King James colonized you here and set up 2 patents with the London Company to colonize you here in 1603. And we got that out of J.C. Ridpath's History of the United States. And you can click in the library and download the PDF right now. 432thedrop.com. Download that PDF out the Drop library. Stop playing. Stop playing with yourself. So this paradise turned into reality on their ass with these armed indigenous people rushing out the tropical forests and strange cities to resist the advance of the Spanish soldiers and the missionary efforts, to resist their missionary hijack. You were fighting against it, and now there's churches on every corner, there's crosses on all this stuff, and it's representing their missionary efforts, and you representing, you're going to die for it. You're a hardcore Christian. It's Christian, Christian, Christian. But before that, it wasn't here. And you were, and it wasn't. So you got to thank your invader for your God. You got to thank your invader for your excellent new tune. And you can't get away from that. You can't get around that. You have the creator. They gave you a hijack. And you celebrate Christmas and do pagan Roman rituals. You do invader rituals to get in the invader hijack frequency. And in this invader hijack frequency, you lose every time. You're happy because you got your house and your kids, and it's all good because you're playing along. There's always been people like you. There's always been people that played along. But we wouldn't have got nowhere if there wasn't the Maccabees. We wouldn't have got nowhere if it wasn't the Moshe and the Prester Johns. We wouldn't have got nowhere, man, if everybody forgot to be us, if everybody forgot they were Indians and indigenous people, if the Aztec forgot they were Aztec. They've been cleaning your clock piece by piece. But first they came with their missionary efforts that you resisted. All right, we're almost there. We're almost there. The myths, so let's go. That the visions of the ferocious Indian assault, the tribal assault, or the inferior natural slave were fictions. That the inferior natural slaves were fictions. They thought you were natural slaves. Columbus painted a picture of this Eden natural slave. All these people just want to be slaves. Take their children from them. Take their women. destroy them all, mutilate them, rape them. They love it. So they learn from the might and wisdom and law of their conquerors to practice better morals, worthier customs, and a more civilized way of life, says Columbus. That you've learned from the law of your conqueror. Are you still practicing the law and the customs of your conqueror? Alright, this is what Columbus, look, let's go back, let's back it up. As best described by its most famous proponent, the eminent Spanish scholar Juan Gines de Sepulveda, the next representation of the New World's Indians was as creatures of a subhuman Caliban-like nature who were intended by God, quote unquote, to be placed under the authority of civilized and virtuous princes and nations. Reduce these people into perpetual servitude. The same thing the Pope said, Pope Nicholas V, 1452, Dum Diversas, Papal Bull, let's go. So that they may learn from the might, wisdom, and law of their conquerors to practice better morals, worthier customs, and a more civilized way of life that the vision of the ferocious Indians saw. So, end quote. All right, so we're back to what Standard is saying. So Standard is saying that the visions of the ferocious Indian assailant or the inferior natural slave were fictions as much as the image of the pre-lapsarian American Eden had been, mattered not one bit to anyone. The myths were simply formed and reformed and shaped and reshaped and made to do whatever work their propagators had at any given moment wanted done. So they use this stuff, you know what I'm saying? They took your, foundational legend, spun it into, whatever they needed to, paint this, message that they needed to get the enforcement on you that they did. They had to paint a message of the savagery, yet at the same time they had to kind of, show that, oh, this was the place to be restored at. This was Eden. This was this and that. Now, all that drop is here, but it wasn't quite what Columbus said. Remember, he tells the truth, but he mixes it up with a lot of lies, as they all do. That's the forked tongue. So while he's talking Eden, which is true, he's acting like it's all good, that they can just come on into Eden, come on in and just do what they want, and that we're natural slaves. That's what he wanted them to believe, that we're natural servants here living in Eden, in terrestrial paradise. But he still had to tell them it was paradise so that they can come. And they can come get this gold and come get us, which became their gold. We still are their gold. In entertainment, in science, in mathematics, we're the gold. We're the salt of the earth. We're the flavor. They've always just studied us. They've always tried to get to here, but without you, without being you, they can't quite get to that degree. They can get to the 33rd degree, but they can't, get to the degree of being you. They can't have the energy, the alchemy that the Creator has already produced in you. And it's marvelous to them. And where you were living and how you were living is marvelous. Let's make our dismount. Numerous modern scholars had dissected and analyzed the effects of both biblical and classical myth on the minds of Europeans during the so-called Age of Discovery, but at least as strong as all the mix-up imaginings of terrestrial heavens and Elysian fields of lusty maidens and cannibalistic human beings was a fervent and in many cases a truly maniacal European craving for raw power and the wealth of gold and silver. Among the clergy, meanwhile, there was the promise of God's favor should they successfully introduce the New World's pagan innocence, right? So you're just a pagan innocent. You're just a savage to the glory of His grace. That's the excellent new tune, quote unquote. So they took away your ancient love song, your tribal America, and gave you America is not natural, John Stewart version, because natural is tribal, and they took away the natural, what they're calling pagan innocent, to the glory of His grace. It is not surprising then that in the first sentence of his celebrated letter to the Spanish crown, Columbus says of the lands that he has found, quote, and of them all have I taken possession for their highness by proclamation and with the royal standard displayed, and nobody objected. Columbus said, again, this is what he wrote back. Again, he had to paint paradise here, but he also had to paint you as some punks that ain't gonna do shit when you get rolled up on, and that's gonna be nice and easy. A nice, easy takeover. A nice, easy renaissance. A nice, easy escape from death. Escape from plague. But what did they do? Cortez and them packaged the plague and brought it to you. And of them all have I taken possession for their highness, all of you, the proclamation and by proclamation and with the royal standard display, death and mercenaries. And nobody objected. Nobody even fought back, he said. Consider the picture, standing alone with a few of his fellow officers in the white coral sand of a tiny island whose identification remains disputed to this day, an island discovered by Columbus despite the fact that it was well populated, and had in fact been discovered by others thousands of years earlier. The admiral took possession of it and of all the people it contained. What does it sound like to you? And nobody objected. God clearly was on the Spaniard side. I mean, this is what they, this is their hijack. This is what they think. So it went from island to island, small and large, throughout the Caribbean. Wherever he went, Columbus planted a cross, making, as he said, the declarations that are required in claiming ownership of the land for his royal patron back in Spain. Despite the fact that Columbus noted in his own personal journal of the voyage that, quote, the people of these lands do not understand me, nor I them. It seems to have been a particular satisfaction for him that never once did any of the onlooking Arawak-speaking islanders object to his repeated proclamations in Spanish. So he's saying, I made this proclamation, I took over all these people without number, and I did it for Spain. He's painting a picture. But how real is it? Did they just come and disease the fuck out of us? Kill off our, priests and, tribal, just chiefs, just kill us off with the same plague that was killing them off? If this plague was so poisonous and toxic and nauseous that, it knocked out 20% of their population at a time, then imagine if they gave us a super plague. How much of our population was knocked out by poison? The same poison they're spraying every day out these plains, putting in our water, putting in our food, Monsanto corn, all that stuff. Poison. We're being poisoned the same way we've been poisoned. People, wake up. I mean, I'm saying it and I still, have to remind myself because it's fucked up. We're not built to really have to think about this type of shit. We're built to rule shit, not to be slaves, natural slaves. Are you a homeborn slave? Is Israel a homeborn slave? Or has Psalms 83, has a confederacy happened to keep your eyes shut, like the Virginia House of Delegates Henry Brown said? That we have exhausted and have completed the efforts to keep the Negro's mind, the slave's mind, to exterminate the light from their minds, even the capacity to see the light they've exterminated. He said if we can, exterminate even their capacity to see the light, we would then reduce them to the beasts of the fields, and then we'll be safe. Then we'll be safe. The hijack, the parasite, the invader will be safe if they can reduce the capacity for you to even see the light, to receive the information, to receive the energy. But can they ever reduce your capacity for haya, to wake you up, to restore you, to redeem you as he promised with a vibration? Once he puts it out there, it's vibrating, baby. Once he speaks it, once that thought is processed, once it is, it's done, sealed. It's sealed. And again, get that Solomon seal, because like the U.S. Department of Health said, that Solomon seal, that root, that plant. Love to Chef Candy, because she's, investigating all this for me, man, getting the drop on the Solomon seal. Love to Chris Duncan with that black seeds. We got to get up on these black seeds, Solomon seal. We got to get our cedar up. These are restorative natural, what I'm saying, creator-friendly ways to, get our vibration back up, to restore our bones and ligaments and tissues and tendons and all that kind of stuff, muscles and mind and energy to restore us. Like the U.S. Department of Health says that Solomon seal, man, they say that's culturally significant to the original Native American people. The original Native American people. So click on that article because I dropped it last time. And yeah, man, if it's culturally significant and has restorative properties, then it's known, this Solomon seal plant, to restore the original Native American people, and is found in Cali. It's found throughout the Midwest, Four Corners, throughout the East Coast, to restore the natural people, the tribal people. So we have to get on these, energies and get to it. Love to all the family, man, out there with them cedars, man. Jay Stu and Mario and the lovely Shalise and Camellia, the lovely Sister Perkins. I just love y'all so much, man. And seeing y'all the other, time that y'all was out here, I'm still on that vibration, man. If you can tell, man, I'm still surfing on rockets, man. So this community is real time. The assembly is real time. Don't matter how you do it, just be in order, rock your commandments. Let's go. Here's our dismount. So Columbus is saying he's making these proclamations, but he's speaking Spanish, and he also says he doesn't understand these people. So how can you make proclamations if the people don't understand what the fuck you saying? Oh, I'm taking over this land in some language they don't know. So it was a takeover. These were mercenaries that ruled. Hungry, diseased, dying mercenaries that didn't bathe. And they want to proclaim some shit in a forked tongue to you, to take over Eden, to take over your lands. Ludicrous. Though this scene may appear to us in retrospect, at the time, it was a deadly serious ritual, similar in ways equally ludicrous and deadly to the other famous rituals the Spanish bestowed upon the non-Spanish speaking people of the Americas. The Requerimiento, look that up. Following Columbus, each time the Spaniards encountered a native individual or group in the course of their travels, they were ordered to read to the Indians a statement informing them of the truth of Christianity and the necessity to swear immediate allegiance to the Pope. 1452 Papal Bulletin, Diversas, into the Spanish crown, Isabella and Ferdinand. After this, if the Indians refused or even delayed, because they say, huh? What the fuck did you say? If they even refused or delayed in their acceptance, or more likely their understanding or comprehension of the Requerimiento, the statement continued, I certify to you that with the help of God, we shall powerfully enter into your country and shall make war against you in all ways and manners that we can. So as soon as they rolled upon people that didn't understand them, they said, what? And they said, so since you're delaying, what we're going to do is make war against you now, because you ain't bowing down fast enough to us. We want to take all your shit. We want to take your people. We want to take your gold. You say, huh? They say, okay, huh? Really? Okay. Therefore, we're going to make war against you in all ways and manners that we can, and shall subject you to the yoke, slavery, and to obedience of the church. You're still a prisoner of war of this church. And their highness, we shall take you and your wives and your children, and shall make slaves of them. They made slaves of you here, so-called Negro, so-called African American, so-called Moor. They made slaves of you here. You didn't come from Africa. They made war against you by this proclamation, this Requerimiento, and they just said it right here. So when we say we're prisoners of war, no shit, we're prisoners of war as indigenous, original North American or South American peoples. Island Indies peoples, Indians, whatever the fuck. We are prisoners of war under this proclamation, this Requerimiento, this 1452 Papal Bulletin, Diversas, man. You now are currently in perpetual servitude and you're paying taxes to the crown right now. You're a slave. You're at war. The other party doesn't have to know they're at war according to the Geneva Convention Treaty of how to treat the prisoners of war. You just got to claim who the fuck you are. You're a prisoner of war. What do you do next? What do you do after you've been invaded and you're a prisoner of war? Well, I guess that next chapter is up to you. How do you do it? We vibrate up. We assemble. All right? You can't just go crazy. You got to be in a, assembling. Sometimes you got to feel like, oh, I got to take a step back to take a step forward, right? It ain't really a retreat in that sense. It's just a gathering, a situation that we got to energize and be with the Creator. So we understand that the Creator, created a design, a pattern. When we say Creator, it's the energy, it's the design, it's the consciousness you're swimming in. It's the pool of water you're surfing on. It's the thought, it's the energy, it's the Creator, it's in you. You find the Creator by finding you. You find you by finding the Creator. It's the flow, it's the framer and the shaper, the vibration, the woven together of ingredients. It's that special connection, that feminine, male frequency all together, all in one, all the flow. You're in the loop. They take Christianity to give you the male. You're in the loop. You're in Islam. You're doing Allah, Alam, Al, the childbearer. The Al is feminine. Childbearing, Al. It was originally Alam, she who bears children. But then they take that principle and they make it an ISIS thing. Now it's an ISIS. Now it's about a crescent. These, man, you can get this drop. Go in the library, research it, dig on it, get them babies out, do that alchemy, do that energy, bring them babies together, gather them around, see what you got. That's all we've been doing. We've been separating it, plugging it out, sifting through the vibration as we're surfing it, putting it together, seeing what we got, and then putting pressure on it to really fire it up and get a more purified version of it. It's the process that's been doing it to us Most High's been doing it to us as a community. He's been doing it to us personally in a personal life. You think it's over just because you choose up? You think when we say choose up, it's over? Nah, man, that's the beginning. You chose up, so now the Creator's formatting it for you, but there's going to be pressure to purify that energy to get the ego out. Ego ain't rocking here. I ain't trying to be right. I'm trying to ask the right questions with you. You apply your ego here, and then your ego gets booted out of here. Because we surf the wave and we protect our frequency. And we choose up. So, Columbus came and said, look, man, I'm going to take this over for Spain. Do y'all hear me? Y'all say, man, what the fuck you say? And he said, oh, okay. Just for that? Just for that right there? I certify to you that with the help of God we shall powerfully enter into your country and shall make war against you in all ways and manners that we can, and shall subject you to the yoke and obedience of the church and their highness, and we shall take you and your wives and your children, and we shall make slaves of them, and as such shall sell and dispose of them as their highness may command, and we shall take your goods, and we shall do you all the mischief and damage that we can. And to vassals who do not obey and refuse to receive their Lord and resist and contradict him. Is that our state of the union today? Was it that not America's policy of, going to war against the indigenous people 93% of the time from 1776, and what happened prior to that by the Spanish and the Portuguese and the French and the British and all that other stuff? In practice, the Spanish usually did not wait for the Indians to reply to their demands, so it was no reply. It was just, they just came down here and just said this shit and started killing and taking your wives and your daughters and your children. This is all they did. This is all they do. Look up gator bait. They put your babies into alligators and use them as gator bait because they were into getting alligator skin, so they use indigenous babies as gator bait, man. In practice, the Spanish usually did not wait for the Indians to reply to their demands. First, the Indians were manacled. Then, as it were, they were read their rights. Don't they do that today? As one Spanish conquistador and historian described the routine, after they had been put in chains, someone read the Requerimiento. So then, first they put them in chains, then they read this shit. They just rolled up on them, put them in chains, and read this shit. After they had been put in chains, someone read the Requerimiento without knowing their language and without any interpreters. and without either the reader or the Indians understanding the language, they had no opportunity to reply, being immediately carried away carried away as prisoners. The Spanish not failing to use the stick or those who did not go fast enough. So they just started beating people, taking them in chains, doing what they're doing. Now I'm gonna get this last part. But not for long, as a harbinger of things to come, only a half dozen or so of those many captured native slaves survived the journey to Spain. So they took you to Spain, they took you to Europe, they took you to Africa. And so of those many captured native slaves survived the journey to Spain, and of them only 2 were alive 6 months later. And that's man, all right. On his second voyage, Columbus tried an even more ambitious kidnapping and enslavement scheme. It was described by an Italian nobleman, Michael or Michel de Cuneo, who accompanied Columbus on his voyage. Listen up. When our caravels, this is a quote from Michel de Cuneo, who accompanied Columbus. When our caravels, in which I wished to go home, had to leave for Spain, we gathered together in a settlement 1,600 people, male and female, of those Indians, of whom among the best male and females we embarked on our caravels on the 17th of February, 1495, 550 souls. So they kidnapped 1,600 people and took the best 550. And what did they do with the rest? Of the rest who were left, the announcement went around that whoever wanted them could take as many as he pleased. So imagine your wives and your daughters and just, being, put away, and anybody can take them. Anybody. And kill them, do whatever they want, rape them, do whatever they want. This was their policy. This is Columbus Day. But now it's redemption season. The chicken has come home to roost. Of the rest who were left, the announcement went around that whoever wanted them could take as many as he pleased, and this was done. And when everybody had been supplied, there were still some 400 of them left, to whom permission was granted to go wherever they wanted. Among them were many women who had infants at the breast. They, in order the better to escape us, since they were afraid we would return and catch him again. So with the ones they couldn't take, they said, man, y'all can go, whatever. But they were so, fucked up from what just happened that they left their infants anywhere on the ground and started to flee like desperate people. Now, you're going to get that some of these people were Caribs, right? So we had Caribs, which were cannibal people here as well. A lot of stuff was here. It wasn't just some glorious thing. We had different situations. We had Caribbean, Carib is cannibal. These were cannibal islands, right? So a lot of these people, not all the same people function in the same ways, again, with order and law. So did these people leave their kids and go crazy? Possibly, if they were cannibals, you know what I'm saying? I don't know who he's dealing with, but let me go back. Trying to see where he discussed the Carib situation. So at least on one occasion, Columbus sent a raiding party ashore to capture some women who, with their children, to keep his growing excess of captured native males company. So he captured women to keep the males company. Because he wrote in his journey, his past experience in abducting African slaves had taught him. So first he did this in so-called Africa, now he's doing it here. Right, 2 different things, but the same thing. Had taught him the Indian men would behave better in Spain with women of their country than without them. So he took the women because he said the men will behave better, or he can, bribe them more and say, I'm gonna kill her if you don't do this. All right, they'll behave better. On this day, he also records the vignette of the husband and one of these women and fathers of the 3 children, a boy and 2 girls, who followed his captured family into Columbus's ship, and said that if they had to go, he wished to come with them, and begged me hard and they all now remain consoled with him, but not for long. As a harbinger of these things to come, only a half dozen or so of those many captured native slaves survived the journey to Spain, and only 2 were left alive 6 months later. So it took them 6 months to go get back to Spain, and that family they took, only 2 survived. Let's get it right here. So out of the 550, they took 1,600 people. They kept 550 and put them on their ship. They said, do what you want to the rest of them. What was left over was 400. They said, y'all can go. And he said these people went crazy and left their infants anywhere on the ground and started to flee like desperate people. No one knows what happened to those 600 or so leftover natives who were enslaved on the admiral's orders or Columbus's orders by whoever wanted them, or the 400 or so who fled in terror, or their abandoned infants. But by the time Columbus's ship entered the waters outside Spain, of the 550 captured Indians he took with him, 200 had died. Says Cuneo, we casted them into the sea. So they casted 200 of them out of 550 that they took into the sea. When they reached Cadiz, half of the remaining 350 slaves were sick and dying. So they tossed 200 out that 550 into the sea. That left 350, and half of them were sick and dying by the time they got to Cadiz. All right. Only a relative few survived much longer because Cuneo surmised they are not working people and they very much fear cold, nor have they long life. All right. So these particular people, look, these people aren't slaves. They had a hard time making slaves out these people here, man. That's why we kept revolting, and all you hear about is this revolt, that revolt, this revolt. Even our people in there, in the Scottish Highlands, you hear about these Jacobite uprisings, these uprisings. You hear about the Maccabees uprising. We are people that don't stop rising because we are crystals. And with the proper intention, all that pressure on us just forms more clear-cut diamonds. You just make us better the more pressure you put on us. You probably realize that in your personal life. The more pressure they put on you in your personal life, the stronger you become. What don't kill you make you stronger, but it really happens with you. Because you're a diamond, you're a crystal. You're pure water, you're pure gold. Alright? So this final point, nor having a long life, which of course is crazy, would not have been true a few years earlier. The health and life expectancy of the natives had been far superior to that of the Europeans prior to the Colombian invasion. So long life is what we did prior to being invaded by the parasite, by the pesticide, by the toxic poison, by the Black Death that came with these Spaniards, so-called Spaniards, and these mercenaries that came under putting you under perpetual servitude, just like the Most High said he will allow to happen if you are out of order. Once the first Spanish settlement had taken root, the hold on life that any Indian had at any given moment was tenuous at best. Spanish diseases had become their own invasion of the Americas. Spanish death, diseases, poisoning, Spanish death had become their own invasion on the Americas almost from the moment Columbus and his crews first breathed upon the New World host. A parasite infected a host. And this author, David Stannard, is just breaking that down perfectly. Again, here's our dismount. Spanish diseases had begun their own invasion of the Americas almost from the moment Columbus and his crews first breathed upon the New World host, first breathed on you. The moment they breathed on you, they infected you, as parasites do, with death. Spanish diseases had become their own invasion of the Americas almost from the moment Columbus and his crews first breathed upon the New World host. But the systematic genocidal destruction, the papal bull, perpetual servitude of the parasite, of the invader that's escaping their death, bringing death on you. But the systematic genocidal destruction of the Indians, of the Indigenous, did not begin until Columbus's return. So then they returned for a third trip, and then they really brought their chaos, man. And you know what I'm saying? The rest is his story. We are gaining our own story. We're learning to choose up. So I hope you enjoyed this reading, man. Just getting back into this David Standard. And love to David Standard, you know what I'm saying, for not being, you know, an insecure hijack enough to jam up our investigation and jam us up. We're going to keep vibrating above that. But of course, you know what I'm saying, as family, we come together, we bond together when we see ourselves clearly being hijacked by forces. You know, we know that, you know, we knew it would get good, but, you know, now we got to really take in, you know, that as we continue to grow, we're going to have to, you know, keep separating. And that's why I'm so happy to keep building our framework so that we can have a separate learning, you know, center, a separate place to go outside of this YouTube framework. I just came here to say hello, and then I'm going to say goodbye, like I said. And, you know, as soon as the Most High, you know, allows it to happen, you know what I'm saying, we'll be, you know, clearly just doing our own thing, rocking on our own land, doing our own thing, man. And if you know it, you know it. If you got the drop, then keep dropping it. And I love y'all, man, for everything you do and everything you're going to do for the Creator. Stay up, suit up, and always choose up. Choose that best possibility. Make every setback a comeback. Like my man, Rod the Great always says, man, every setup, every setback is an opportunity for an excellent comeback, baby. Excellent comeback. This is a redemption season. Love to y'all.